This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 13th of October. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look at ES and the equity indices on Friday. I wrote a post last week where I was talking about basically the hard limit where I would be basically assuming a breakup, i.e. a breakup now rather than the breakup at the end of October, which is when I was originally expecting it, would be if we broke over this trend line here. It's almost the same trend line on SPX, so we haven't broken over it yet, but I got to say, the double top here isn't looking as good as it was. We're still on a 60-minute sell signal, and that has not reached target. It hasn't been a fast market to the upside, but it's been pretty damn persistent, that's for sure. We'll see how it goes on the next couple of days. I think it's bank holiday in America tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. NQ, we've got a 60-minute sell signal. This one has reached the possible near miss target. And we've got a decent looking little double top here, although it'd be improved if we actually retested this high, which we haven't quite managed. Obviously, NASDAQ has been lagging SPX and Dow. In fact, actually, for much of this year, SPX was basically being dragged up by NASDAQ, and now it's being dragged up by Dow, because obviously it's a mixed index. All right, RTY. RTY has not been dragged up by anything this year. But nonetheless, we've got a potential little level bottom here, and on the bigger picture chart we'll have a look at, we've actually broken up from the flag that was forming. This is at least modestly bullish. We could form a larger flag, of course, but it's a pretty nice looking flag, and I could say I'm increasingly leaning towards a breakup. I mean, the obvious time to decline was into the end of October, and here we are mid-October. Where's the decline? We haven't seen it. I mean, really, in terms of the standard seasonal window, we got a couple of weeks left. That's not an awful lot of time. Last time I checked, Israel hadn't attacked Iran this weekend. My expectations aren't high. So we will see how it goes. YM, another new high, still a potential level top here. We got a possible 60-minute sell signal, which is brewing, so we will see how it goes. DAX and ESTX both have me leaning a little cautious here because, of course, I'd marked in these potential level bottoms, and both of those have broken up. These have got targets really at retest of this high. So a full retest on DAX, a little bit short on ESTX, but it would be the obvious target. We will see. And obviously that would probably require a fair amount more upside on the US indices as well. All right, let's have a look at the US indices. Okay, EFs, we're still on an RSI 5 sell signal. I got to say, these are very nice signals. They have an excellent track record. We've got one fail here on the ES chart. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the previous 5 basically all made target. Doesn't mean this one's got to. You can see this one here. It's a pretty nice one, albeit a weak one. And we went even higher afterwards, although we then set up another one which did make target, which is not unusual. We will see how it goes. But I've got it it depends how you draw the trend line here, but it's a lot clearer on the SPX chart, where SPX is getting very, very close to the trend line. It's not quite hit it yet. On the 15-minute chart, you can see it best, and you can see it's a beautiful trend line. It's a lovely wedge, and we're very close to hitting that trend line, but we haven't hit it quite yet. But it's now only 5, 6, 7 candles above. Obviously, it's a moving target, but we will see. Looking at the bigger picture charts on the daily chart, the new weekly pivot is at 5775. We're hitting the daily upper band at the moment, and obviously we're very, very close to trendline resistance here. Now, this trendline resistance is important because if it breaks, and it breaks hard, it opens up a move up into this trend line here, which is in the 6100 area. That is not a short distance away. And that would be basically part of a larger channel. We will see how it goes. I think this might be a gently narrowing rising wedge, or it's a straight up channel. But either way, it's a very attractive target. And once we have sorted out this resistance here, we could go gutter. So we will see. All right, looking at the 15-minute chart again, RSI 14 sell signal fixed. That hasn't made target yet either. Possible little level top here, but as I said, my expectations aren't particularly high. We'll see what the new week brings, but I think if we do see a retracement, given the seasonality particularly, it's likely to be a buying opportunity. All right, looking at the NASDAQ daily chart, we've got the new week pivot at 2116. Have we retested the high here? If not, it's damn close. Yeah, we've retested this high here, certainly. We haven't retested this one at 20.7, which is still some distance away. Pretty nice looking wedge here, but really would need confirmation with another hit of the resistance trend line. We'll see how that goes. This again wouldn't be a bad looking double top here, and Dow still viable as a double top, but to be honest, the higher it goes, the more it deteriorates. We've got multiple open sell signals here which have delivered absolutely nothing. Sometimes a trend is just too strong, even if it's only creeping up, really. So on the hourly chart, tiny bit of negative divergence, no obvious trendline resistance close. And we did have trendline resistance close on the daily chart, but we've gone through it. In fact, we almost made it up to the 3SD upper band late last week, so we will see. Dow has been the star performer for the last couple of months, obviously, and the new weekly middle band there is at 42532. All right, let's have a look at let's have a look at the IWM chart. Oh, by the way, wouldn't mind a couple of opinions here. I'm planning to switch over to, on request, I'm planning to switch over to using the Qs on the rather than NDX, and I'm thinking of switching over to using SPY rather than SPX. Obviously, there's quite a lot of redrawing involved, but just because it's more practical in terms of targets for options and that sort of thing. So if you've got any opinion on that, I'd be very glad to hear from you. Hit me up with it. And see what you think. But the Qs I'm probably going to do next week, and SPY the week after, and I might actually do the same with the Dow as well. Because in terms of practical use, the Qs, the purist in me doesn't like it, but the Qs and the others are actually of more practical use from a day-to-day trading point of view. All right, looking at IWM. Looking at the 15-minute, we've got a possible RSI 14 sell signal brewing, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. Not a bad-looking flag here in the end. It's not perfect, but it's really not bad at all. Now we could be turning into a channel here potentially, and going down from that, and this could, or there's always the option of turning into a larger flag, but as it is at the moment, that's not a bad looking flag. It has, hang on one second, if it was to turn into a channel, where would that be? Slightly above at 222, so I'll leave that and keep a slide on it. But I have marked in the double bottom on the YM chart, sorry, on the RTY chart. Let's have a quick look at it here. It's very much for an appropriate size there, i.e. it doesn't extend too far before the beginning of the prior, the end of the prior trend. So let's have a look and see how that's looking on here. So bear with me a second. All right, I'm going to draw in the arrows. I think it looks a little more disproportionate here because, of course, IWM doesn't include the nighttime action. But yeah, slightly on that one. I suspect it's pretty close, though, on the initial target. Hang on. Not bad, a little high. The first target is always a retest of the prior trend, so the flag target is a retest of 224.17, but that's not oversized, and it is regardless of the flag. The flag that has broken up in any case with a target at 224.17. We will see how that goes. Hang on, just close it down, save changes. All right, on the hourly chart, tiny bit of negative divergence, maybe. Sell signal reached possible near miss target on the RSI 14. We actually had a daily buy signal at the last low on this one. I think it was the only one to have one, but obviously that's a long since made target. We've got an old RSI 14 sell signal that has made target from this initial high at 227.85. That's not made target yet, but realistically may not at this rate. Thinking that increasingly, once we get back to 224, there's an obvious retest coming of 227.85. We will see how that goes. All right, looking at the foreign indices, DAX. looks as though it's heading back up into a retest of the high, and that double bottom has, of course, a target at the retest of the prior high. That's not going to set up any negative divergence. Nikkei, keeping an open mind, but pretty obvious where the next target would be at 39.8. If we see a sustained move above that, then we could well see a retest of 42.4. So we shall see how that goes. All right, let's have a look at DX. So bear with me a moment. All right, DX. We're pretty close to the target that I marked in on here, which was the main target. In fact, I think we've actually made the first target, and we're pretty close to the second. I've got more to say about this on the daily charts. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. The last one I would note failed, and this one actually hasn't delivered a great deal so far. We could continue upwards from here, and I don't have much really saying it's going to go down, but we'll see how it goes. Looking at bonds, bonds have trickled down. This is a trickle. We've killed off, but a trickle can go a long way. We've been trickling up pretty much on equities, and that's gone a long way. So we've been trickling down. We've killed this trend line, which looks pretty nice. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed here, and we've actually got an early RSI 14 sell signal fixed now on TNX. We'll have a look at that. There's nothing compelling saying this is about to turn back up. We will see how it goes. Even if really, I think there's two arguments here. One, interest rates have gone down 0.5% already, and there's basically talk of another 0.75% before Christmas. Two, one of my viewers was making the pretty powerful argument that given the amount of debt, which is 120% of GDP and rising fairly rapidly, then really there's going to be an increasing penalty applied by the bond market for lending to someone who hasn't got their spending under control. Is showing no signs of getting their spending under control. Now, if that's the case, then interest rates are going to rise under the Republicans and the Democrats, and he's right about that. And maybe it's the beginning of that we're seeing. But on the bigger picture, what I would like to see, what I would love to see really, is, hang on 1 second, sorry, bear with me a moment, is I would love to see a retest of this high. I would love to see a retest of this high here at 49.97, set up a beautiful double top and give the opportunity for a big decline. If we don't do that, then I would note that potentially we can go considerably higher. But at the moment, inflation seems to be under control, and I don't think the chances of the US government getting into dangerous area of default in the next 2 years are that high. I think in 5 years it may actually be a very real danger of default, or at least we'll have reached 135% of GDP, which is the level at which the bond market starts seriously wondering whether it's going to get its money back. We will see. All right. Anyway, let's have a look at the dollar next. Dollar, the RSI 5 buy signal has made the buy signal target and made it to 90, which is pretty stretched. The RSI 14 buy signal, it was a weak one. It's reached the possible near miss target, and I've taken it off the chart for the time being. Although I've still got it on this one, the Bollinger Bands chart. I was talking a few weeks ago about the possibility. Now, this is another more ambitious alternate double bottom setup I've drawn in here, but I was drawing this in and talking about the possibility that given that we've got this really nice looking trend line here, and it's nice, usually these trend lines come in pairs, not parallel pairs, but pairs. And I was speculating whether we might actually need to get up to this trend line here to make the pair. And that trend line would be in about the 104.8 area. We'll see how that goes, but at the moment I'm not seeing anything compelling. It isn't going to make that target, although it is overdue for a bit of a retrace. Are we looking at any big buy or sell signals elsewhere? Not on the monthly chart. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal and an RSI 14 buy signal. And I would note that we've got some resistance here, and we have been pausing slightly at it at the weekly middle band, which tends to be a pretty good support and resistance level. We'll see whether it holds this time. I wouldn't be that surprised to see it break above. I would note that the monthly middle band, which is a bigger target altogether, is still only at 103.45, so we're pretty close to that too. We will see. All right, looking at bonds on TNX, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. We already had an RSI 5 one, and that made target with this modest little move down from the top. We've got a beautiful double bottom here, which is suggesting we can go an awful lot more. But I'm leaning towards seeing some retracement downwards on bond yields and upwards a rally on bonds. But I think ZB is not giving us a lot of clues to how that might develop. In terms of the daily chart here, we had an RSI 14 buy signal, it's made target. We had an RSI 5 buy signal, that's made target. On the weekly chart, nothing really. I've taken off the weekly RSI 5 buy signal, as that's already made target too. The question is, are we going to go back and retest this high and set up a potential level top? I'm starting to think I'd more or less written that off, but I am starting to think that might have a shot. Like to see it get back over the weekly middle band on TNX, which I've got at 40.45, and obviously we are now well above the daily middle band. We're well over the 50 DMA, and we're very close to a test of the 200 DMA at 41.69. Break and convert that, and this could still be a bull flag breaking up with a target in the 49.97 area. Honestly, I thought that ship had sailed, but it does look as though that may have been premature. All right, let's have a look at CL. CL might be coming back in for a retest of the high. That would set up some really nice negative divergence on the daily chart, but I'm a little skeptical. Possible weak 60-minute sell signal brewing here, but nothing to write home about really in terms of strength. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go up through it, but bigger picture, I think most of this current rise is basically on Middle East uncertainty. So that does mean that could come out pretty quickly. NG, I think this is a more solid move down from the high. I think we've got a bigger picture triangle. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a look at oil first. But I'm really liking the setup here on natural gas. All right, oil, bigger picture. No divergences on the monthly chart or the weekly chart. On the daily chart, the buy signal has long since made target, and we are testing the 200 DMA, which I've got at 77.22. Now, if we get back over this triangle resistance at about 80.5 to 81, more like 81. So we invalidate the triangle, which has got an open target down at 63.57. I'd be a bit surprised to see that, but I mean, the real test is probably the 200 DMA and seeing whether we can get back above it. Looking at it closer, obviously we've been spending a while above the the daily upper band, but not recently. That was basically war talk here. So the question is, are we going to get back up to that resistance trend line and over it? I am doubtful. Outside Middle East concerns, the biggest word I tend to read on oil at the moment is glut. So which isn't encouraging. It could be the Middle East itself could just get us back over that, but the chances are it's going to pull back, because apart from anything else, I don't think there's going to be a full-scale war in the Middle East. I could be wrong though. All right, natural gas. We're on a very old RSI 14 sell signal on the monthly. That may or may not make target. I don't tend to take any notice of the RSI 14 anyway. RSI 5 and RSI 2 are much more useful. On the weekly chart, RSI 14 buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. Again, nothing to regard. And there's nothing really to say apart from on the daily chart. We had an RSI 5 and an RSI 14 sell signal, and the RSI 14 sell signal is still open. I think that's got a good shot of making target, because a few weeks ago, when we were making this high here, 3 weeks ago also, I posted about this triangle here, and this triangle is still looking very good. If we continue playing through on this, then, and at the moment we are converting the daily middle band to resistance, which I've got at 2.71. If that delivers, then we should head down into about the 2.1 area next, hit rally maybe 2.4, 2.5, and then head down to the triangle target, which would be a retest of 1.52. This could set up one of the biggest longs of next year. Because if we get down there, I think there's a pretty good chance that we'll be setting up a double bottom. We've got a huge support level down here at 1.5, 1.6, which hasn't been broken in, well, it's been a while. How long? We've not been under 1.52 in the last 24 years. at least. Might well be longer than that. That is a long time. In fact, actually, why speculate? Let's take it back to 1990. 1900 would probably be a little more than we need here. All right. The last time it was below 1.52 was in 1995. So basically, pretty much 30 years ago. And before then, it was a regular event. But after that, not so much. And obviously, inflation does apply to natural resources as well. But that is, if we get down and retest that low, I'm really expecting that to hold. Or at least not be broken by much. And we've got a potential setup to get us back there and then give us a bounce, which on the bigger picture chart wouldn't be huge. I remember I was talking about this double bottom here and called that beautifully, and we got this huge rise up into like 10. This would be a more modest rise. On a sustained break up over 3.64, we'd have a target about the 5.1 area. In terms of big moves on nat gas in the past, barely ever. It's I really like it, and I'm thinking that one might be one of the big moves next year. We will see how it goes. Okay, great. Let's have a look at metals. All right, let's have a look at GC. Right, GC, we have a possible flag here. It's not a wonderfully formed flag, but it could be breaking up, and I'm wondering about a retest of the high. I was asked last week which way I was going on the currencies down and metals up, or vice versa. And I said I thought we might actually see them both go up, and we have seen them both go up. I think dollar may be about to retrace a bit here, and I think metals may be about to go up further. No current negative divergence on the hourly chart. Nothing on silver either, but this double top, which had played out partly, I think may be failing. We will see how that goes. Weekly pivot is at 31.57. HG, we've got what a pretty nice looking flag, and I was talking about this near the lows, saying it was a pretty nice looking flag, and we've broken up from it, and we could form a larger flag, but if not, the flag target would be up here in about the 4.79 area. I'm thinking the metals have been acting rather bullish. They've released some of that already. There may be some more to go. All right, let's have a look at the metals charts. Now, on gold, I haven't really got any great resistance here. So we have gone through multiple resistance trend lines. And I did say if we got through the last of them, it was open sky above. We've not quite got through the last. I've got one left. It's not the best of them by any means, but I've got one up here in the 29. No, it's more like the 2850 area, I think. Maybe 2825, 2850. That's the next obvious resistance trend line, but it may go through that too. That on a big move can easily happen. We will see. Are we looking kind of overbought on the weekly? On the weekly RSI, hell yeah. And furthermore, we've got an RSI 14 and RSI 5 sell signal fixed, which are mainly remarkable because they haven't failed yet. And they may not fail, and they may play out, but we would need a big move down from here to do that. I'm not sure I'm seeing much of a reason to expect one right now. On the daily chart, we've certainly got no negative divergence. Retest this little high, and we could get some decent divergence on the RSI 14, but that wouldn't necessarily develop into anything. On silver, we went back up and we retested this high at 30.35. We've got a potential level top here, but not currently much reason to think that it will play out. But we do have on the monthly a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing, and we've got an old RSI 14 sell signal fixed. But again, I'd mainly be looking at the RSI 5. Looking at the weekly chart, no current divergence. We've got a potential trend line here, and it's not a bad one. It's been holding so far. So if that breaks, then the next obvious one that I've got, and again, it's a very nice one, is up here in about 37.5 area. Looking at the daily chart, we had a sell signal at this high. That has now made target. We'll see how it goes from here. Looking at palladium, nice break up here. At the moment, I'm thinking we may well be heading up to a retest of this high here at 1126.50 next. On platinum, we had a slightly worrying-looking double top breaking down, but at the moment it seems to be failing back into the last high, which is at 130.80. And if it does that, we still have a larger double bottom target, which would be in about the 107.5 to 108.2 area. Looking at copper, RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the monthly. I'm taking that seriously. I remember mentioning to someone a few years ago that when this fixed, that these can make target pretty rapidly. This one did. This one did. This one hasn't. But we could be setting up for a decline later with it. On the weekly chart, they're not immediate signals. There's something that could play out now, or it could be in 3 years. In terms of the daily chart, we didn't have any negative divergence at the high. And we're not going to get any because we've come down too far. Nice move up here, rally off the 150 DMA, which is not where I'd have been looking for it. I was thinking in terms of the 50 and the 200, which down here in about this 4.25 area, but it rallied earlier than I expected. Not much reason to think that if we can convert the daily middle band to support, there's not much reason to think that we can't go up and retest this high here at 4.79. On GDX, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal, and I've still got an obvious trendline target. I'm down here at 37.3. That may not be hit, but from a pattern point of view, it'd be quite nice if it was. Last week, I was talking about buy signals on the early, or it might have been Wednesday, but obviously these have played out. I think it was last Sunday. GDXJ looks pretty much the same. Obvious trendline target there would be in the 44 area, 44.5, I think. And again, we had positive divergence I was talking about on the hourly chart, which has now made target. We will see. All right, great. Let's have a look at the other commodities. Okay, KC, we got a possible double top here, which could be failing, but this looks rather like a bear flag forming from this low. So I'm still leaning to seeing at least some more downside, maybe possibly just a retest of this low, but it's leaning towards seeing that. Sugar, this looks like a bull flag forming. I think this will probably break up in due course. CC has made some nice progress to the upside, and sorry, obviously this little level bottom made target. If it can break and convert the monthly pivot, 77.79 to support, then I'd be leaning towards seeing a retest of this high here in the 87.80 area. Looking at the cotton chart, looks like an overall bull flag forming. On wheat, saw a bit more bullish action, more to say about this on the daily chart. On corn, at the moment, this head and shoulders, which I was thinking might well fail, hasn't fell, and we've headed down below the monthly pivot. If that can be sustained, then the target for that move would actually be in the 408 area. Soy has also been weak. I was thinking it might be holding this area here, and we've broken down from it. We've reached the minimum double top target already, and the extended one is down in about the 999 area. It looks as though we're going to reach that too. We had a 60-minute buy signal, which has delivered nothing so far. That may change, but at the moment this looks like it's got momentum down to this target. We will see how it goes. All right, looking at lumber. Lumber is trending sideways in what looks an awful lot like a bullish consolidation. Sooner or later, this should deliver a retest of this high, and may well deliver a retest of this high here at 547.89. On live cattle, possible double top here, but this has been threatening this for a while. Without actually anything happening. We are drifting up on a 60-minute sell signal. We are drifting up very slowly. Where we had a sell signal here, this actually made the possible near miss target. We've got a potential double top here too, but not a great deal suggesting it's actually going to turn. All right, let's have a look at these on the bigger picture charts on KC. KC, if we can break over the daily middle band here, I'm leaning towards this going up quite a lot more actually, but at the moment it's pausing there. We might see a retest of this low. This trend line though isn't a bad one. It wasn't quite hit here, so we'll see how it goes. But this is the obvious resistance here. It's been holding it for 2 days. If it fails here, I'd be looking for a retest of this low and possibly to make a second low of a double bottom there. If this trend line here breaks, I'm not too worried about that. It's only a 2-touch trend line anyway. On sugar, this looks like a bull flag. I've drawn in another option for it to the one that I was drawing on the 60-minute. It's not really a firm support trend line at the moment, but it does look an awful lot like a bull flag for me. Looking at CC. CC, no current divergence. Bouncing off support here, it's in the 6800, 6850 area, and obvious move is up. Next obvious move would be up to 87.96. On wheat, We've got quite a nice looking double bottom here. Inverted head and shoulders. That hasn't failed, and that's got a target up in the 645 area. We've been spending a lot of time consolidating while the other two grains have been seeing some significant downside. RSI 14 buy signals reached possible MS target on corn. And since then, we've been seeing quite a sharp decline. Is this an inverted head and shoulders? I haven't marked it in as one. It could be, but if it did, then it would only fail and move down below the 397 area. So we'll see. Possibly a little higher, 401. But it's not a great looking inverted head and shoulders in any case, so I haven't drawn it as one. This could just be a bullish consolidation, but it's starting to look worrying with a move below the daily middle band. On soy, no current divergence. Sharp decline. It's only about 50 back so far, but obviously we're well below the daily middle band here. And at the moment, well, I'm thinking it might be going lower, and possibly it might be setting up a retest of this low here in the 959 area. On cotton, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal. It's reached the possible near miss target. This looks like a bull flag forming, and I think that's probably because it is. So if so, we're going to see a retest of this high here at 74.55, and we'll test this big resistance level in the 75.84 area. All right, in that case, I think that is everything. So that is a wrap. Everyone have a great rest of the short amount of the weekend that remains, and I will see you tomorrow morning, by which time hopefully Substack will be working more effectively. If you're interested in crypto, have a look at the post if you can, at the post I sent out today on it. I was going to republish that, but unfortunately I haven't been able to get any sense out of my crypto Substack since, although fortunately my other two Substacks seem to be working all right. But I am working on the other one. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. Catch you guys later.